Each week, I try to prepare a batch of a particular type of starch. And this week, it was all about the potatoes. I put together a 5 pound bag of potatoes, got them all cleaned up and cut up, and placed them into water so that we could use them throughout the week. So, we're going to start this week out with taking the potatoes out, getting them actually parboiled, and then we're going to use some of them in two different dishes. So stay with us because potatoes are on tap as well as some other veggies that you're going to love. Today, we're putting together an Ethiopian cabbage mixture, and it's going to have really deep, wonderful flavors, the flavors of Africa. And so I want you to have a chance to take that Southern style and kick it up just a notch. But our cabbage is going to be delicious, and it's going to have a variety of vegetables in it. So a one pot meal is on the way. I parboiled these potatoes, and they are just about done. But I didn't want to take them all the way because of the fact that I'm going to use them for other dishes. So they're cooked just enough for that. And when we put them into our Ethiopian cabbage stir fry tonight, then they're going to cook very quick. Now, the whole idea is to be able to prepare dinner and have it done anywhere within a range of 10 to 15 minutes. And that depends on how fast and how high you want to put your heat. But I like having a dinner that I can put together at the most in 15 minutes. And it's delicious and nutritious. Plant-based cooking, that's the way it goes. We are preparing tonight's Ethiopian cabbage stir fry with no oil, which is going to be absolutely delicious. And what we're going to do is that we're going to get our pan, our brazier, nice and hot. And once we've done that, I'm going to take some boiling hot water and pour it down into the bottom of the pan. And you can see it sizzling down there. So we're having oil-free cooking, which is so nutritious for us. So we're going to continue to work on that. And once I get the pot put away, we're going to add our onions. The aromatics are always the first thing that you want to place into your pan, because what that's going to do is that it's going to flavor the water and the moisture that's down there in the bottom. So the onions are going in, and they're going to be a few more onions to go in. I'm also adding in a heaping teaspoon of vegetable better than bouillon, the stock mixture, so that we can get that down in the water. And what that's going to do is that it's actually going to make a vegetable stock in the bottom of the pan. So I'm bringing that up to temperature. I want all of this to get nice and hot so that when I add the rest of our vegetables, our dinner is going to be very tasty. Okay, so I'm going to let this get nice and hot. Then we're going to start to add more and more seasonings. So I'm going with the garlic first. So you'll notice I've got 2 heaping teaspoons of garlic, because Ethiopian cooking does involve quite a bit of garlic. And in fact, probably had I been in Ethiopia, I would have used 3 teaspoons of garlic. But garlic is very healthy for us. Next, I'm going to add some cumin. And this cumin I just picked up it's from the local spicery that you can mail. It's a mail order situation, and I'll put the link down in the description box. But we're going to add in cumin, because cumin is one of those spices that's used very much in Ethiopian cooking. Also, we're going to add mild curry powder. Now, we could have used a hot curry powder, but I wasn't up for that. So we're going to use a mild curry powder, and that is very Ethiopian as well. So notice I'm putting in quite a heaping teaspoon of the curry powder. Now I don't want to get carried away with it because the big guy likes curry, but not a lot. All right, so we're going to add some black pepper because that's one of the seasonings of the Ethiopian cooking is pepper. It's very spicy typically when you have it at an Ethiopian restaurant. So we're going to let all of this get stirred, and you can just look at the color. The color is deep, and once we add all the other vegetables in, you will see that this dish will turn into something that is absolutely beautiful. So I pulled out the heavy equipment. All right, I had a little bit of the three pepper onion blend that I'm going to finish off and toss that in. Notice the colors? We want a very colorful dish. Know that when you're preparing vegetables, you want as many colors as possible. The more color you have, the more nutrition you have. And we're not going to overcook our vegetables, but we're going to make sure that they are good and hot. The next thing I'm going to add are carrots that have been pre-sliced, and I'm going to add those in because they need to cook, and they're going to take a little bit longer because they are not parboiled as the potatoes are going to be. The potatoes won't take nearly as long as the carrots. So we're putting those carrots in now. Now be sure to give it a good stir because we want those carrots to get all the flavors. Now we're going to add in some of our potatoes. And we're just going to have to play that by ear as to how much of the potatoes that we want in our mixture. So I'm going to put some in, but I'm going to hold some back because I know I'm going to use some of these potatoes later in the week. So there we go. We've got enough for this dish. And I'm going to continue to stir because number one, I don't want it to stick. And number two, we want to make sure that our vegetables are covered in all of the seasonings. If you find that your mixture needs a little more moisture, then certainly go ahead and add a little bit more of that boiling water to it. Now remember, this is not a soup. This is going to be a stir fry, but because we're not adding any oil, we need to keep a little bit of moisture in the bottom of the pan. Next, we're going to add in some tomatoes, and I'm using my cherry tomatoes that I had in the refrigerator. I sliced them in half. They needed to be used, so we're doing that. And look at the color. Oh my goodness, it's beautiful. Now, another thing too to keep in mind, another reason why we added the water was because remember, we're trying to cook the carrots. We're trying to finish cooking the potatoes because they were parboiled. And we want to make sure that there's enough moisture in this pot so that the cabbage will be able to cook as well. Now, taste, 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 and taste again to make sure that your that what you have in your pan tastes as good as you think it does. So I'm going to start adding in some of this chopped cabbage. I cut my cabbage into slices and then cut the slices into about anywhere from an inch to I guess 3/4 of an inch pieces because I wanted those pieces to be small. And I'm going to start just stirring and flipping so that the cabbage can get down in the juice and start to cook. And in a little while, we'll put a top on this so that all of this can really come to a boil. And once it comes to a boil, We may add a little bit more cabbage. We'll just see what our balance is of vegetables are. So notice how pretty those colors are. So let's give this an opportunity to cook. You are always welcome into the kitchen of Ebony Ivy and Thyme. I invite you to subscribe and to hit that like button before you leave, because of the fact that this is where we are inspiring home cooks to cook daily, to decorate their kitchen, and to love on their family. So I hope that you'll take a moment and certainly join our family. And don't forget, hit that like button. So let's get to the rest of our video. I wish you could smell my kitchen. It smells amazing. The flavors of the curry and the cumin and the pepper and all of that is just permeating the entire kitchen. And when you look into this pot, it's absolutely beautiful. You can see all the rich colors as well as all of the nice steam that is coming off of it because it's nice and hot. Today's a cool day, so because of that, we need a warm filling dish. You could certainly go about adding something extra to it, like if you wanted to add a steak could be served with this because, everyone is not totally plant-based. So because of that, we have to be able to make allowances for others as well. So while I'm only going to eat this, it may be that someone else in our house is going to have a little something else to go along with it. Did you think we were finished? We still have something else yet to prepare. So get comfortable and let's get the next part of our dinner for the week taken care of. This is country crock plant butter. And you'll see that this particular plant butter has olive oil. And it is really a plant-based oil spread. And I'm going to take you around the box just so that you can be familiar with it. I have used country crock products before, but this is the first time I've tried the plant butter. It is dairy-free, and that's because it contains oils like olive oil, and we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of it. It has less saturated fat than dairy butter, which that's a good thing. If we're going to use it and use it sparingly, then of course we want it to be better than what our regular butter would be. You can see that it is also, it has a blend of plant oils like palm fruit, palm kernel, canola, and olive oil. It also has, they say, a little bit of salt and some pea proteins and some soy. And there are some other things that are in there. But if you look at the total fat, it's about 11 grams, which that's not bad considering that it's a plant. And it has no carbs, no proteins, and no sugar. It does have 110 milligrams of sodium, but no trans fats. And it is very, very low as far as polyunsaturated and the monosaturated. So we're going to, like I said, when I'm having bread, this is what I'm going to use. And you use it just like your regular dairy butter. 1 stick of plant butter equals 1 stick of dairy butter, and it melts to a half cup of oil. The big guy has been dying for some fried potatoes. And what I thought I would do is that I would take some of those that we parboiled, and I'm going to get them all zhuzhed up, and we're going to place them into the oven, about a 450 to 500 degree oven, and we're going to bake them and see if we can get them crispy on the outside but soft and tender on the inside. So we're going to place about 3 tablespoons of that plant butter into this bowl. We're then going to add house seasoning and a little bit of paprika, because you know paprika is good for color. And once we've done that, we'll get that all mixed up, get the butter melted, and then we're going to add it to those potatoes. As I pour our melted butter and seasonings over these potatoes, you're going to see that I start to kind of shake them up. But I had another thought about that and realized I forgot my apron. Oh my goodness, that's all I needed was to get that paprika all over that yellow blouse. So I had to come up with another solution because the potatoes had to be well covered and needed to be well mixed. Now we're going to take our time and we're going to get these potatoes onto the pan. And I think we'll have a perfect amount of space for these potatoes to be able to get nice and crispy. I want them crispy on the outside, but soft on the inside. And so because of that, the oven's already heating up to 500. And I know I'm going to have to really watch that oven because I do not want these potatoes to burn. Now, when you're preparing, you notice, other than the plant butter, and the plant butter is our oil substitute, so to speak, and it is plant, and so because of that, we're able to add just a little bit of fat to the butter, to the potatoes, and so that is what we want. That fat is going to cook the outside of these potatoes and also allow the inside of the potatoes to get hot again, because as you know, they are parboiled. Now, if we had not parboiled those potatoes, then the problem would be that we would have to leave them in the oven for at least an hour because of the fact that we would need to cook the potatoes and then wait for that nice crispy surface. But we won't have to do that today because we did our homework. Our potatoes were parboiled and our potatoes are going to be perfect. Now I'm just going to serve this with a bowl of vegetable soup that I already have prepared. I'm going to get that warmed up so that when the potatoes come out of the oven, the soup will be in the bowl. This is one of those nights. It's an LO night, really, a leftover night. And I'm just adding the potatoes to the side because I know it's something that's going to make the big guy smile. Did you think this week was over? We've got one more dish that I'm going to add to our repertoire of plant-based meals. We're going to put together a dish that, even to be honest with you, it surprised me. We're going to do a vegetarian Bolognaise sauce. Yes, Bolognaise sauce. So get comfortable. Don't leave yet because it is delicious. Tonight, we're putting together a cauliflower and mushroom Bolognaise sauce. And we're going to serve it with some whole wheat spaghetti. And this is going to be so good. So in place of the meat, we're using our veggies, and we're going to make sure that the texture is such that it's going to be delicious. Now, the cauliflower is going to get roasted. The mushrooms are going to be roasted. So I've gotten these all broken up and ready for the roasting. Let's get them into the pan. When you are cooking without meat, then that means that you're going to have to find certain vegetables that are going to give you the heartiness and the texture that you would like in a meat filled dish. Now, tonight we're going to break a head of cauliflower into florets, not too small, and we're going to roast them, as well as we're going to also add some mushrooms and roast them as well. Now, the reason we're roasting is because we want that extra depth of flavor. So let's get them into the pan. Let's get them into at least a 425 to 500 degree oven. Keep an eye on them, and then we'll be ready to add them into our dish. Our skillet is nice and hot tonight. And what we're going to do is that we're going to add just a little bit of water into this skillet, and that's going to take the place of our oil. Let's add some onion, and this is one whole onion that's been diced. And we're going to let that get into that water. We're going to let it get nice and hot. Remember to keep your temperature at least high to medium high. We're going to add garlic because we want this bolognese to taste every bit as good as any other bolognese sauce we either might make or purchase. Now, the only difference tonight, and you can decide how you want to do this, is that I'm going to use a regular can of lentils that I already have in the pantry, but you may opt to actually cook and prepare red lentils if you want your sauce to be redder. Okay, so let's get into some tomato paste. Now, you know it's all about the flavor. I'm using a teaspoon. I'm going to put in a couple of teaspoons of tomato paste. If you find when you taste it later that you need to touch it up just a bit, you can certainly do that. And I encourage you to taste your food so that you will know whether certain seasonings need to be added to your dish that will make it come up to the level that you want your family to have it. Now, we're going to add in some of my favorite, which is basil pesto sauce, because after all, this isn't an Italian flavored dish. So that basil pesto sauce is going to add the herbs of Provence that we want, and certainly you can adjust it along the way. Now, once this really gets to sizzling, then we're going to start to add even more flavor. We have added the tomatoes, and I want you to look at this skillet. It's beautiful. And then we're going to add vegetable stock, at least 1 cup of vegetable stock. And you can decide after this really gets to boiling whether or not you need just a touch more. The cauliflower and the mushrooms have roasted. We've chopped them up just a little bit, and we're going to add them to our Bolognese sauce. Make sure that the Bolognese sauce is nice and bubbly so that once these vegetables hit that nice hot liquid, they're going to take on those flavors, and our Bolognese sauce is not only going to be pretty to look at, but it is going to be delicious. Wow, I can tell you, I have outdone myself. The spaghetti's cooked, the Bolognese sauce is bubbly and hot because I let it simmer about 10 minutes just to make sure that it had the texture that I wanted. Now, we are ready to serve it up. You know, it doesn't get any better than this. When you use your imagination and you use your eyes and you use what you know about color and spices, then you can put together something totally new that you think your family may enjoy. And you just keep working with it until you get that flavor absolutely perfect. You know, this has been so much fun. We have had a great time in the kitchen this week, and I am looking forward to when we'll all be together again and have another week of great meals. So, God bless you all. Have a wonderful time, and try these dishes out because I'm telling you, they really were good. Come back to the kitchen of Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme because this is the place where we're going to cook good food, we're going to chat a lot, and we're going to love on our family.